Well, good morning, Facebook. Hello, it's Dr. Kraft with Kraft Chiropractic, and we're coming live this morning. I have a special guest we're going to be interviewing this morning. Her name is Dawn Finn. She is a motivational speaker and coach, and I'm very excited to have her on today. Before she gets on, she'll be joining us here in a moment. Some things about Dawn. She currently lives out in the Pelican Rapids area. She's been coaching for quite a few years now, and she has a tremendous story as well. So today we're going to talk about connections creating transformation. And I'm going to see if I can get her pulled up here. She should be joining us shortly. And just to talk a little bit more about what we're going to talk about today, the connections creating transformations. And she kind of coins herself as a transformational coach. And there's a lot of different ways coaches like her help people, and she's also been a part of helping me along my journey as well. So we're going to be talking about how we're talking about connections with people, by the way, connections with people and how they are able to improve our way of transforming ourselves through difficult situations. And we're going to talk a little bit about recovery this morning. There she comes. All right, I'm going to add her in. Here she comes on screen. Hopefully we have good mics today. She's going to join us here, welcoming Dawn Finn. I got my coffee with me. I can always hang out with coffee while I'm waiting. Well, good
Hi.
morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Welcome, Dawn Finn. I was
Thank
just
you.
giving you an introduction about who you are, a little bit about what we'll be talking about today. First and foremost, as long as you can hear me, our audience should be able to hear as well.
That's
Okay?
good.
And you looking fantabulous this morning, girl.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. It's a great day.
It is a beautiful day. And I've got my coffee and I've got my sunlight and all of it, right?
Exactly.
Well, I just gave them a brief introduction. Dawn, welcome to our little Facebook Live today. We've been putting this off due to myself having a cold for like 2 weeks. And I'm back healthy. And I gave our audience a brief description about who you are, what you're doing. But I would like for you to share with our audience this morning who you are and what it is that you're doing.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm Dawn Finn, and I actually adopted fabulous Dawn Finn from my children. So that was funny. That's been around now for I think over 10 years. So, I had a work email, and so I was running around the house. My daughter, who wasn't graduated at the time, was really into those, high school musicals. And I
Yes.
happened to catch one of those songs about a fabulous life. And I was just always bebopping around singing that. So pretty soon I have a Gmail, and I have her friends and my son's friends all calling me Fabulous Dawn Finn. And so I just adopted it because it's fun. That's who I think I am, more than anything in the world. We have things that we all face that are challenging. But if we can laugh and if we can enjoy the process, those challenges don't seem to overtake us. They might a little bit here and there, but it's the ability to laugh at oneself, the ability to use humor, to be spontaneous and enjoy life. That's why we're here. So what I am is a transformational speaker and coach. I love what I do. I love working with people. I really, really enjoy working with women and watching them become the person they were meant to be.
Awesome. Well, again, when we connected almost 18 months ago, we actually shared a really incredible story of connection between the two of us.
Yes, we did.
And I would just love to share that. I am now in active recovery from alcoholism, coming up 4 years. And we made that connection. Would you like to share a little bit more about your story briefly?
Yeah, actually, I've been sober 25 years, and
25 years!
I know it
That's
has
amazing.
been a beautiful ride. And one of the things for me that I found for women in recovery specifically is around 5 years, we're asking some different questions. And that is where I thought, okay, how can I really best serve women in recovery? And what is it that we're looking for? And it is deeper connections. I still go to AA meetings. Even though my drug of choice, I actually had a drug problem and then would choose alcohol if I couldn't get a hold of drugs. But AA gave me a really good foundation. Not to say that NA is bad, that's not what I'm saying. It was just my choice and what I needed at the time.
Right.
I don't see too many women around the tables. And that made me wonder, are we relapsing? What are we doing? How are we connecting with each other? How are we transforming our lives? Is this all that recovery has to offer? And then I'd have to go,
Right.
is this really what I want out of life? And those were the questions that, as I was answering for myself and I connected with other women, I found that they were asking some of those same questions.
Well, and to just dive in with that as well, me also being in that between 4 to 5 years now, there is a different challenge. There is a new set of questions. There is this desire, this deep desire to find yourself even more, because after you've gotten rid of the issue with the using of the drug of choice or the alcohol, there's a lot of work to be done. And in my realm of work, it's been a lot around self-worthiness in the last 4 or 5 years of my life. So could you tell me specifically what your definition of transformation is?
Well, that's really a little bit of a personal journey. So your definition of what transformation is yours, and what mine is mine. And what I help women to decipher is what is that for them. So it may be working on a goal. It may be working and addressing a character defect, something that you want to change. But you define that transformation. I just help you to identify really what triggers it, what happens, and then have you become aware of what you do around that so you can change that. Because no matter what, and I love, this is my favorite post of all times, it's a beautiful red door. The teacher can open it, but you're the one who has to walk through. And I don't consider myself ever a teacher, but I am a partner. I'm a partner in your process. I'm a partner with watching you grow. But by watching you grow, I'm giving away what I have, and I'm growing. And that is the beautiful connection. I mean, I just, even as I'm talking about it, I feel my heart just fill, because that's the point that we really want to see in growth, is that we're really connected. I was at a training yesterday, and one of the things that we talk about with students is really having them self-regulate. But you don't know how to self-regulate if you don't really have a connection. It's the connection to the people in our lives that help define my behavior, that help me to look at that. And I am not saying I need you to approve of me. What I am saying is that I need that connection, because if I live in my neighborhood by myself, it's a bad neighborhood. I'm telling you, the worst worst movie you can ever think is running through here. My thoughts can get me in trouble so quick. So what I need is women around me. What we all need is to be connected. And then those women, and we have those strength conversations. I'm being authentic. I'm talking about who I am from my heart. It may bring tears, it may bring joy. But you get to say, hey, this is what I see. This is what I'm hearing.
Right.
When I'm in the emotion of things, I can never, ever truly see the trees through the forest. But you, my friend, my chiropractor, my coach, you guys get to see when I'm in the emotion of that, and then help me to identify those trees. That's what I mean by connection and transformation.
Right.
That's where we grow.
And I guess for me to just kind of piggyback on that as well, transformation is very individualized, but I think a lot of people are looking for more sense of themselves. They're looking for their truth. There's transformation of the old life, if you will. Like for us, we have an old life that's in the past, correct? And we've
Correct.
created a new one with, I'm going to tell you, it takes a lot of work. And the quote unquote work is finding people along your journey, like somebody like a coach like Don Finn, someone like a holistic chiropractor like myself, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, counselors, on and on. This is the umbrella of people that are out there to serve people looking for finding those transformations in their lives. Well, I'm just looking at our time. We're doing wonderful, by the way. What's the weather
Yay.
like out there in Pelican Rapids today?
Oh my gosh, the snow looks like it's a bunch of diamonds.
Well, we like diamonds. I
So,
mean,
yes, we do.
really.
Hello. Let's bling it on.
So we have plenty of time to go through some more of the questions I have. I know we wanted to hone in on a few towards the bottom of our list today, Dawn.
Okay.
But thank you so much for Melanius and Sandy and Dana. There's a few other of you watching right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Some friends and family are watching this morning and getting you to know who Don Finn is today. This is really cool. What do you think is the number one roadblock? Let's give an example of a person. Let's use the woman in recovery, because we are
Okay.
both that person. And if that person's listening today, this might strike them. If you're not in recovery from alcoholism or a life controlling problem or drugs, that's fine. But what is it that the number one roadblock that people that you work with or people you're seeing that aren't quite ready for a coach, what's the number one roadblock for people to ask for help? I'm talking in recovery, maybe to get that goal, get on with their life, change jobs. What is, like, they need a coach or they need somebody in their life? Like, why? What's the roadblock, do you think?
I think there's a couple of roadblocks. I think, they don't truly understand a coach and what a coach does. And I do think that there have been coaches out there who are not trained, and some of them probably are really good, but some of them aren't. And so that's the piece that maybe they don't know how to even look for a coach or find out. And hands down, my best number one advice is visit with them. They should always have a free
Yes.
consultation, at least a half hour. And if you don't connect with that person in a half hour, then move on. Not every
Agree.
situation is, can I help? And I will refer you to somebody I know who can. Or I will even help you find that person. Because it's not just about me, it's about you and your journey, and
Right.
it's about you reaching the best you can be. So that's one
Absolutely.
issue. The other issue, I think, is finances. I think that when somebody sees a price or hears a price, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guilty of that myself. I see it and I'm like,
We call it we
whoa!
call it we call it sticker shock in the retail world. If any of you have ever worked retail, there is a real thing in life called sticker shock.
It truly is. Um, but what I did specifically is I have a beautiful coach out of New York. And so I just reached out to her and said, I'm really interested. And so we came up with a plan where I can make payments to her that were fit into my budget and
That's
what
nice.
worked with her. So it's really finding some of those opportunities as well. And
Okay.
if you're working on something and you don't think I need 6 months, do an intense session. So find somebody who can do a 1 month
Right.
that's like 2 or 3 times a week, those kind of things. I think that when we look at getting a coach, fear steps in. And I strongly want to
Yes.
encourage that fear is just an emotion. Um, you have to walk through it, and that's your choice to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a way for us to stop moving forward. Fear can be a huge equalizer, but I heard, and I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, those who walk through fear are the heroes. They're the
Yes.
ones that are changing and moving. And I think about that kid who's fallen through the ice, especially since it's winter. We can think of those. And that guy and that gal who run out there to save them. They're not thinking about themselves. Are they absent of fear? No, that's just part of the journey.
Right.
And whenever we are learning something, that's the piece that we really want to do. We want to learn it, but we're so fearful that I'm not perfect at it. Somewhere along this line, we as women have this message that we have to be perfect, And hell no. We make mistakes.
Hell no.
Hell no. Life can be
Hell
slow.
no. There's no.
That's right.
Well, here's another thing too about that perfectionism. You know, when I look back at my story, I struggled with some self-confidence and self-worth things internally that maybe a lot of people didn't see on the outside. But it really did, when I look back at my old self, fear was always an underlying issue, and I didn't know how to see it at the time, smell it at the time, taste it at the time. So what I did is I covered it up by overachieving.
Yep.
All of the things I could do, quote unquote, being the perfectionist. And to be honest with you, it was very exhausting to be.
It really is.
To be a perfectionist. And I know there's maybe some other people listening to this today. If you feel you have issues even with that overachieving and perfectionism, a coach, somebody like Dawn, can kind of just help guide you through some of those things. And of course, there's still going to be maybe a counselor you could use too with your journey, or somebody, of course, like myself. I do things just a little bit different in my office. We talk about emotions in the office. We talk about some past things in the office. But someone like Dawn is trained to just kind of get to the root and kind of maybe bust you through the door of fear a little bit. So that's wonderful.
So let me just share a little bit about
go
getting
ahead.
to the root, because it's actually called narrative coaching. And when I'm working with people and I see a behavior, you will see their eyes change, their body language change, their skin tone even changes. And at that moment, at that moment, that's when you want to say, what is the thought? That is the trigger. That is the avenue where you go down. I don't want to know how you responded to Jane and Joan. I want to know that initial flip. And it is so minute that you don't even know it. But when I see it, I'm going to say to you, whoa, 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 let's back up a little bit. Because our response is something that we've learned. If we've responded this way since we were 4, we're going to continue to respond that way until we change it. But if we're not aware of it, we can't change it. Right. So that trigger, that cue for me is go, oh, let's talk about this so you can change the way you respond.
And I would love to add in the work that I do as well, just because you're understanding that there's a feeling, a thought, an emotion, and a behavior that comes from, it's kind of a chain reaction. We get that thought, then we get the feeling, then we might get the emotion, which could be crying, it could be isolating, it could be throwing something, whatever it is. If it's anger, it could be a joyful thing too, right? And Correct. Then we see that then there is a behavior or action that comes from all of that going on in here. So in my practice, we pay attention to what's triggering the thoughts that are manifesting in physical symptoms. Okay? Yeah. And we walk people through that as well. So it's really cool. Her and I are both kind of in alignment. Both Dawn and I are in alignment with as far as how we kind of approach working with our people, our clients and our patients. So that's why we're also sharing this information with you today. What is it in your mind, the lack of connection? I'm going to talk about human-to-human connection. Do you feel that it is an issue today? A lack of human-human connection, meaning coffees with girlfriends, dinners at the table, the lack of connection in the family or in a community. Is that creating more things like addiction or depression or anxiety? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a mixed bag, because I think even when I was raising my children, there was still some connectivity things. One of the things that we did is we had dinner all together and phones were not at the table. That was kids didn't like it. Oh my gosh. But today they talk about it. They know how to have eye contact, and we can really connect on issues. I think that we're aware of depression. I think we're aware of anxiety. I don't know. I want to say it maybe has increased a little with the influencers out there, and I'm comparing my life to your film. I'm not comparing, I'm comparing my back reel, I think was what I heard, to your front reel. So what you're putting out there and sharing with the world is really what you've already worked through. But I don't get to see the stuff that you're doing, the stuff that you've worked through, the crap that you've had to just really address to become who you are today. And so I do think that that might really create some anxiety issues or connection issues. I'm afraid to reach out. How can that person,
Yes.
what are they going to think about me? And so I do think that those are part of it. But I think that this has been going on. I think that women in particular they have different places that they're going to connect, and they're not always where it used to be the kitchen at the church. Oh my gosh, really?
Right.
I want to connect maybe outside or in the office, or,
Right.
I don't want to be regulated to the kitchen, although I do know what it means to be of service, and I can do that. And I have no problem. I just did it last night for Ash Wednesday. But what I'm saying is that we are getting farther and farther apart, and it's not just about the church. The church is no longer the center of our lives. And so now we need to regroup and figure out how we can connect with each other and grow each other.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Hey, Deb!
There is Deb. Hi. And Autumn's joined us. Thanks for watching. Autumn, I believe, is out in Bismarck. And Debbie's there. Hi, Debbie.
And I think Tabitha and Kalu are there. Peace, ladies!
See, I can see them pop up on mine too, so that's wonderful. As long as our sound, the sound is working wonderful. It seems to be doing that today. So we're going to wrap up here within the next 5 minutes or so, Dawn. I did actually use a timer, and I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it off. So for those of you that are just getting to know this conversation between Dawn and I, we can literally share a conversation on Facebook Live for hours. I mean, we can piggyback off ideas, because two like-minded people connecting, transformations can happen just between two people like us. She came into my life. In fact, Dawn, to be very honest with you, you encouraged me to get back to what I meant to do. And that's what a coach does. I mean, and a friend too. Friends can do that too, but a coach encourages you to maybe leave that job, go start your own. I mean, that's what coaches can be a part for doing. So
Yes.
A real quick background for me, folks, I've taken business training and business coaching since about 2011. And then I did take 3 years off practice before I started. But so my realm is in the business aspect, but I'll be honest with you. All of my business coaching had one common denominator: improving the doctor, improving the business owner. Do you have any tips for women? Let's go to women entrepreneurs specifically, like myself, because you probably are going to work with more women. Mompreneurs, women entrepreneurs that are struggling with personal things. Do you feel that you are a good fit for that woman business owner? A good possible fit for them. You can also give them consultations too. A good fit for them to navigate through some things maybe they're dealing with fear and with transforming their business life and home life. Is that something you could help them with?
It is. It truly is. One of the things, though, is that I would like to have that consultation to make sure that we are a good fit.
Right.
Hands down, it's about you. It's not about me. So in that process, I want to talk a little bit that it's not just about coaching. It's just not about business. So it's in the school system. It's in the business world. It permeates even through communities, that learning really begins with you, no matter what it is. If it's even learning a skill, but hands down, if I'm not putting myself into self-awareness and working on self, I can never move up to the next level. I can never move through whatever it is that I'm working on. And we are so quick to say, ooh, let me learn how to teach. Let me learn how to do. But hands down, if you're not working on you, it's not going to work, because it starts here. It starts with our thoughts. And I'm telling you, I just spent 4 hours yesterday on trying to figure out how to get people in the educational field to start working on themselves, because no matter what, they're the representatives. I'm a representative of the woman race. I want people to see me and connect with that. Sometimes, like recovery, the only big book somebody's going to read is my behavior.
We can laugh about this because being in sobriety, absolutely, there'll be people out there, you know, that just need some light,
Mm-hmm.
okay, in their darkness, right? And
Right.
to be honest with you, I just try to do the best that I can with that, you know, with being light for others. Sharing conversations like this with you, Dawn, today is what people need more of. We're just sharing our ideas. We're sharing our
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. We're connecting with you. We want people to know that are out there that are struggling with, you know, whether they're in a downtime in their life, they're going through some grief. People that are in recovery, they just need like someone to, you know, to turn to
Mm-hmm.
in times of struggle. And it's not only professionals like us, but I think we're looking more for that woman that needs that awesome girlfriend. Like I have about those 5 that I can turn
Yes.
to when things get really tight and in those dark times.
So let's talk about those 5,
Yeah,
Christina, because
yeah,
that is so important. I mean, that's one of my 5 truths to live by is your support system. You know, if we don't have a good support system, so if I'm hanging out with people who are complaining, who aren't happy, who always, I don't know how negative, they're just negative,
right.
then really you have to look at yourself. If you're not happy, look at those that you're surrounding yourself with, because 2 or 3 of those people should love you right where you're at, but they inspire
Yes.
you to be great. The next 2 or 3 people should be smarter than who you are, and you should have them in your circle because you're learning from them
Oh
and you're
man,
growing.
really?
Yes,
We're
yes,
supposed to be smarter?
yes. Because how else do we challenge
I'm
ourselves?
I'm totally kidding. I'm
I know
totally
you
kidding,
are.
but there has been times, okay, if I go back to my 20s when I was in my old life, and I say clearly my old life was prior to sobriety. It's straight up a demarcation line. My old life, I still am connected to some of those dear people, but you know, the connections were just different. I didn't hang around business owners because
Mhm,
wasn't one yet. I really didn't hang around healthy people. And
mhm,
to be honest with you, a lot of the old relationships I've had in my life too were quite toxic as well.
mhm,
So once again, you have to upgrade your life to upgrade your connections as
mhm.
well. Or if you are in a spot where you know you need more connection, the biggest thing is that to pick up that phone and call a friend or to show up at that networking event or go to that new church and make
Exactly.
connections is really hard. But I'm telling people, and Don would agree with this, just step out and step up and upgrade, you know, these connections like we're talking about.
Yeah, because we're not mind readers, so I can't
Hi,
know
Kimmy.
that. I don't know that you are reaching out or you need that. But if you reach out your hand to me, I'm going to reach mine back. You know, and that's the piece that I believe in our circle and the women that we associate with. That's what we do. We are
Right.
going to give our hand back. I did want to talk a little bit about a difference between a coach and a mentor because I have mentors, and mentors are about a specific skill or behavior I want to learn, but they're not paid. It's a volunteer.
Yes.
Um, and it's not in a way that a coach is or a friend. You know, the coach is going to get to the problem or get to the issue, and they're going to give you honest feedback. Maybe not necessarily feedback you want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
but it will give you the honest feedback you need for change, for transformation.
Okay.
And so it's nice to have a mentor, even if you have a coach. And it's nice to have the friends to help balance out what is the coach saying, what is that mentor saying, and help you to process it. That's where the connection for transformation really becomes final for me, and we started here. If I'm changing a thought and I'm working on something, I really need to be able to verbalize that with my support system and then be able to process it. I'm a verbal processor. Most of us are, as far as women, we really talk about processing things out
Oh,
loud.
you mean I talk a lot?
No, me too. But what the deal for that is that's where we can start to formulate a new mindset.
Right.
That's where we can really start the beginnings of transformation.
Can can you elaborate? I know we're going to wrap up here just shortly. You
Hey,
wanted
Kurt.
Right. I really wanted you to briefly talk quickly about your 5 things. We talked about building really
Mhm.
great connections. Can we go through 2, 3, 4, and 5 before we wrap up
So
today?
one is hope. It's always how can we promote hope within ourselves and hope within each other. Of course, there's a lot more to that. Then the second one is, what is your vision? What's your dream? What do you want to be when you were 11? Are you living that? Are you doing that? And then it's your action plan, your goals. What steps do you have? When we get done, this is all strategic planning too, within any business, any government, any educational field. So it's the goals. What's your plan? How you're going to get there? Then it's your support system. Who's in there? Who can you tap into that can help you grow into that mindset, that goal? The last one is investment. I love investment because investment is two parts. The first one is you are your biggest commodity. You invest in you. Don't wait for somebody else to find your worth.
Amen.
Pay for that class. Pay for that coach. Whatever it is, you do that for your growth. The second is, once you've done that and you've grown, how are you giving back to your community? How are you showing up for others when others have shown up for you? That to me, I'm getting goosebumps because that to me is the
she's got, I got little like freckles, but I actually have goosebumps because I can feel your passion, and it's the same thing for me. When we are changed as people that are, in a sense, I would say that there are times I've had to mentor. Without being considered a coach, I become a teacher, a guide, a mentor, and I have mentored a lot of women in recovery as well. But they teach us so much about ourselves as well. Your clients do, I'm sure, and you upgrade this whole other concept of creating, how you even have conversations with these people and these aha moments like Oprah has, right? Aha moments.
I think we've had them when we've been in conversation before.
My aha moment about a year ago was about this worthiness thing, and I needed to start telling my story about my recovery story and how self-worth is a core issue, that we are having issues with shame and guilt and all of these other issues. I've started, like you said, giving back. Something that I've decided to do out of the goodness of my heart is create workshops based on self-esteem and self-worth issues. And we're going to teach it here coming up. I'm going to teach again at the Moorhead Public Library on March 30th. It's a free workshop for parents, teachers, and coaches for themselves, but also to help cultivate some unconditional self-worth things for themselves, but also for the youth in their lives. I think it's really important to keep the feelers open and letting your intuition know what you need as well. Can you also maybe, because I know we have a little bit we both know about this, when is it that intuitively you need to take action on something like finding a mentor or a coach? When is it? Is it at your rock bottom, or is when you're out of that bottom and you're ready? What do you think?
It is definitely a ready process. In recovery, before my old life, I didn't listen to intuition. I didn't follow that. I was so wanting to be numb from the pain and living life. But once I stepped into the recovery mode, that intuition was something that I really wanted to learn and reconnect with, because intuition also keeps us out of bad places,
Yes.
But when it came for change, it's not about rock bottom. Thank you, Kurt. It's the rock bottom part is when we really need something maybe a little more. That's really when you're looking at a therapist. Right. That's when you're really looking at needing, because a coach, I'm not a therapist. Even though I have done therapy in the past, that's not what I do as a coach. And so rock bottom isn't, if you came to me and you said, I'm at rock bottom, I'm going to refer you. I'm going to help you find somebody, but I will refer you. Once you get out of that, and then you've worked through whatever that got you into rock bottom, but now you're at a different level. Right. And we talked about it. So people early in recovery, I'm a sponsor, I'm a mentor. After 5 years, I can become a recovery coach and be paid for it because it's a different gig. It's a different stance. I'm wanting to learn how to live life on life's terms, more than just putting the cork in the bottle or flushing my bag down the drain. I really want to know that there's more to life. Who am I?
Right.
And those, when you start to ask questions before you ever get to rock bottom, when you have one or two questions that start popping up, that's the time to start seeking and saying those out loud, because
Sure.
then you'll be able to find, hey, in this day and age, Google. I can't tell you some of the silliest questions I've Googled just to see what
What?
pops up. So I can
I've done the
grow.
same thing. I mean, if I knew it all, no. Google is there for me to get some clarity, right?
Hello. It gives you
Right.
some ideas that you may not have thought of.
So this has been absolutely wonderful. We have touched on how connections create transformations. And I firmly believe, with my experience, that when we hire a coach, have even a mentor or a recovery partner or sponsor in recovery program, it's kind of a trial and error sometimes. We might have
It
to
is.
try a couple people before we find the right fit. I've also had patients tell me that in order for them to find the right counselor, they've had to find a
Mm-hmm.
couple before. But here's the thing I also feel about this, Dawn, and you and I have talked about this. We do grow on our journey, and the questions change and the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and feelings change as we go along our journey. So then the people that were maybe in our journey a few years ago, our mentor or our counselor or the coach at that time isn't a good fit then as they are
That's
now. So
true.
now we grow and we looking for someone else that has a little bit different, maybe spiritual connection with us, or we connect more on a soul to soul connection. See, that's
Mm-hmm.
where I now am in sobriety myself. There's just this, I want to connect with someone who's honest and open. Even if they have problems in their life, I want to know that that professional I'm going to or that coach I'm going to has a story too, because I
Right.
feel that our story is so powerful, and if we don't share it, we're not being our true selves. So that's just something
Everybody
I want
has,
to add about.
but everybody has a story, Christina,
Right.
even if we admit it or don't. The truth is, I think that there was a rule of thought that if I shared my story, then you wouldn't appreciate me as a professional.
Yeah.
But that has shifted. And
Yes.
I struggled just like you struggled, just like Jane struggles, just like Joan struggles, John. But admitting those is where our strength comes from. I can't remember the exact Bible verse, and not that I'm a Bible thumper, but I
It's
do
all
believe in
good.
God. But there is a
My
Bible verse
my
that
life
talks about, go ahead.
I was just going to say my life recovery Bible is marked up all over the place. It's definitely
Thank
a
you.
part of my life. So,
It is,
mhm.
and having a higher power definitely is. Um, but there's a verse that talks about our trials, our tribulations, our weaknesses actually become our strength. And that's where our mission, our
Mhm.
purpose in life really come. That's
Right.
where we can move forward. So if I may, I can really actually speak to Kurt. And I know that you had a beautiful son, Kurt, and he's gone. But out of this trial and tribulations comes an opportunity for you to share about the life and death with others. And I cannot wait to watch that grow through you and watch you become that man. So that's kind of how I see things.
I guess, this really was a great sample of who you are today, Dawn, connecting with me over this Facebook Live. I'm hoping that whoever's watching and whoever's going to watch the repost of this video will be able to take something away from it today. I had a couple patients of mine ask me recently, you really seem like you could be a coach. Me. I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, no, no. I'm a chiropractor, but I also am in my practice. I dabble in the emotional, physical, mental, social, and structural, nutritional areas of life. So it's a holistic approach, right?
Right.
Um, I had a patient ask me, how do I how do I know, and there's fear related maybe with it too, how do I know if maybe I want to be a coach someday? She was saying,
Mm-hmm.
what she's asking me, I think maybe I want to go that route. Do you have any advice for someone that's because it's endless,
I
right? Because
do. I do.
like you said, you can go on Google right now and Google, I want to be a life coach, and you can get a certification on Saturday.
Exactly.
Okay, so
So my first advice
go
would
ahead.
be to join communities, to
Okay.
join coaching communities. And there is one that hands down I think is over the top. It would be, to me, when I was doing therapy, the Psychological Association. This is called WEBEX. And to be honest with you, I will not remember what each letter stands for, but it's
Well,
WBECS. And they have even continuing education. They have
right.
programs. That's where I actually have been working on a narrative coaching
Mm-hmm.
specific certification, because that is where my strength comes from.
Good.
It's about continuing to develop yourself, but you have to be in a strong community. There are probably other places out there that are good. I actually started mine with a family development certification,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the beginning of working with families. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice.
Just take some of that
That
coffee.
one.
You like my cup?
Mm,
It says, "Style is an attitude." What's yours
mine
say?
has.
Ooh,
That's all I have, and it's orange.
black is the choice today.
Isn't it?
Sorry, I had to just show my coffee cups because they all have dogs on them. But
I
so
like that.
so I was just wanting to talk a little bit about that too, because I feel that the coaches I know that are either business related, specifically industry related, or they're going through people's transformations as far as self growth,
Mm-hmm.
that they all have went through a transformation themselves to be able to
Right.
go and have this. I look at wisdom being experience of our lives shared with
Mm-hmm.
others as well. It's the same thing we do when we mentor other people in recovery, or women specifically. For me, I can only share my experience
Right.
and hope that it also can help them. But my experience is also all the books I've read, the seminars I've been to, the tapes I've listened to, on and on and on and on and on for the last
The
10 to
knowledge you've
15
taken in.
years. And I woke up one day and go, you know what? Not to, I being sober doesn't mean I have all this wisdom, but
Mm-mm.
I have so much more clarity now, and I'm so much more fearless to
Mm-hmm.
share this stuff. And I just want more and more people like that are out there that, how dare I go start that business? Like, oh, I'm going to leave the corporate world and go start my coaching business. Or how dare I, leave my retail job and go start my business that I've been wanting to do. Like you said, getting back
Mm-hmm.
to that inner child, your 11-year-old self. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be a veterinarian. What's great about me, I can still do animal adjusting from time to time. And my plan is to continue to do that here in Minnesota. In a few years, I plan to have an animal practice. So I'm in it, but it's just a little bit different path. Um, someone that wants to work with athletes and they're, stuck at their corporate job. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? To be honest with you, a coach like Don, or there's other coaches out there that help guide you through making some of those decisions. What's best for you? What does your heart want? And I'll be honest with you, it's so scary to leave something
Yes.
and do what your heart wants, but I'm absolute proof for myself
Mm-hmm.
that I took the leap of what my soul and spirit needed. I also do pet photography. I just have the best of both worlds. I get to take care of
Yes.
people and take pictures of puppies. I mean, really, like, I'm doing what I want other people to just see, that someone like Dawn, you're in your element, you're doing what it is you are meant to do, and you just want people to live the best lives possible.
I
So,
do. And it's just trying. You may not be sure what your element is, but just trying things. And even
mm-hmm,
if you don't succeed by your standards, you really have, because just trying something has given you more knowledge, has given you more experience to be able to move into the next thing that you're working on. We we think we have the plan. I know what I'm intended to do. But sometimes life happens. And so it kind of gives us a little curveball. So I don't
right.
necessarily maybe change my goal, but I might change my plan. So
Well, and
that's,
that's a beautiful thing too to think about, because if I were to go back 10 years ago and think I'd have a private holistic chiropractic practice in Moorhead, Minnesota, I would have think you're crazy. I mean, you
mm-hmm,
just never know where life's going to take us. However, what we always want, I think, always stays within our hearts.
Right.
And I firmly believe that spirit, higher power, God is telling us in certain ways. And that's what I try to help with my patients as well, is to help them dive into their intuition a little bit more, which is really source telling them, hey, you are meant to be whatever you want to be, blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be just a career thing. I think our identity becomes too much in our careers. Who
It
are
truly
we?
does.
Who are we without our work? We need to work on that person, correct?
So maybe the movement that we can start by having this conversation is, instead of introducing myself, hi, I'm Dawn Finn. What do you, oh, you're Christina, Dr. Christina, what do you do? How about if it's just, hi, nice to meet you, Christina. I'm Dawn. And let's not ask people what they do. Because that's how we identify their actions. As a social worker in Iowa, this is so funny because this is, so people would say, oh, what do you do? I'm a social worker. You can watch that. They were like, okay, I'm gone.
I remember so Brene Brown, she shares her TEDx, and she's like a PhD, right, in like social work, right?
Yeah.
She remembers going on a plane once and sitting next to this guy in a plane, and in her TED Talk, she says, the guy says next to her, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a shame researcher. Like that, baby.
Exactly.
And no, so me being a little quirky, a little unique, you know, a little bit out there, you know, chiropractic as a whole has been.
Oh, now I know why we're friends.
All kinds of chiropractic. Being a chiropractor in itself, you sometimes will get looked at differently. You know, what is she doing behind those doors back there? You know, what kind of stuff is she doing? We're helping people. That's what we do here. That's what Dawn does. That's what we do. We help people. And the facets of what we do are, you know, ultimately that's what we're trying to do. But here's what I say when I meet people, Dawn. Yes, I am a holistic family and athlete chiropractor. However, my purpose in life is to guide people to develop their full sense of self-worth. I just happen to be a chiropractor. I just happen to be a chiropractor. And that's part of the mission by helping people improve their function and performance in their life.
That's
but
beautiful.
That's who I am. That's who I am. If I had to make what I would like to, and I've had other coaches and mentors. If Mary Jo's listening, Mary Jo Van Horn from Bismarck, you have been a huge mentor for me, and you are the one that's guided me to figuring out that I had self-worth issues in my teens and 20s, is why I went to alcohol. And that's why I believe that's where we need to start digging in and finding that we are worthy just for being born.
We are.
And
I want to talk a little bit of, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's even talk about that.
I'm looking at our time. Let's wrap her up in 5 minutes because I have to head out of here. Let's wrap her up in 5 minutes. Dawn, I've got a timer, and I would like for you to finish up whatever is on your heart to share with we have to have a timer when we FaceTime each other in personal. Like, enough's enough. I have to go to the bathroom.
We gotta go. Right? No. So what I want to talk about is self-efficacy, self-worth, self-esteem, self-awareness. They really come from a spot. So when we talk about hope, what we're really offering people is the ability to see that they can. That's the self-efficacy. Because I wake up today, I may not feel great. I may have a bad hair day. I may have a headache. So my self-esteem, love it, my self-esteem weighs. And depending on what's going on, especially if I'm learning something new, my self-esteem is going to go down a little bit. But what I do know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that I am capable. That's the self-efficacy part. Somebody along the way said, Dawn, you're worth it. You know that you can do this. And in that moment, I have held on to that. Even in my deepest fear, I have still kept jobs that I probably should have quit because I know I can.
Okay, let's touch on that real quick. In my professional life, I've also had side jobs just to make ends meet. That's just the way things are. But when you let that go and you jump in and do what it is that you're meant to be, everything works out for your good always.
It does.
It can still be hard. It can still be hard because running two businesses can be hard for myself. This is my experience, but I wouldn't have it any other way because I feel that I'm in my most true, authentic self doing the work that I'm doing now.
And I'm there with you. I am I'm at my most peaceful state.
Yes, peace.
You know, I'm totally am. I think that when we're talking about the hard work, somehow along the way, I heard a message that I get up and life's supposed to be easy. I'm not sure where that came from.
Can I just laugh?
Please, can I laugh at
laugh?
myself when I realize that? Because it's not. It is the work. And not that it's so hard that I can't enjoy life, because you can laugh and learn. And hence we started off with humor. We started off, let's just have fun with it. Because life can be very daunting. But if I put in the work, if I continue to have those questions, if I continue to really bring that process to the forefront, then I am creating transformations. So mine is trailblazing transformations because I don't look at it just as an individual. I work with groups of people who are working on an issue. You know, those are the things. How can we create a transformation that isn't just about you and me, that's about a whole world mindset?
Right. Well, above my sink, I have this little kitchenette in my office, and my office is pretty chill. I got some horses, and I got some salt lamps, and I got some oils, you know, kind of me. I got some macrame.
I see the horses behind you.
But there's a sign I've had since I've lived in Iowa when I was in chiropractic college, and it's always spoken to me. It's 3 words: health, happiness, and humor. Bingo. And those 3 things for me is why I want to be alive. And we're talking about the whole gamut of health, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of that. Happiness can be defined, you know, by many different ways: peace, joy, love. But the humor part, I can laugh at things now that I would have never laughed at 10 years ago. And I want to encourage people to kind of not take themselves so gosh darn seriously, you know? And because that's that part for a lot of people that might be struggling. Just we take ourselves too seriously. Like we're not supposed to be angry or mad at times. Yes, that's a normal human emotion. You know, exactly. We have guilt and shame. We just got to work through some of these things. I'm going to stop my timer. We're not quite done yet. To wrap up what we've talked about a lot of different topics today. You've shared some amazing things. I want people to get inspired today. I want to thank you, Dawn, for doing this today. Would you like to share some of how people could get a hold of you if they wish to?
Well, I actually have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account, and it's Fabulous, spelt Fabulous, Fabulus. Dawn Finn. I have a website.
Hi, Matt.
It's just Dawn Finn, and so you can get a hold of me there. That's not a problem. Just DM me if you like. I think if there's one note that I'd like to leave people with is that change is inevitable, and the more that we fight it, the worse the situations become. But if you can know that there is somebody that you can have in your corner to help you reach the hope, meet those goals, and walk through life as a partner, somebody standing next to you, beside you, that person, keep in your life. Look for more people like that. And sometimes there's a time to pay those people, and sometimes there's a time to just have them in your circle.
Right. And you're in my circle. You're in my circle.
I love you, lady. So, it has been a beautiful journey with you. I have enjoyed this conversation. I can't tell you, when I get to the root of who I am, how much taller I stand and how much bigger my smile is.
And stepping out of fear and into love, because there's really just 2 ways, fear or love. When we step into love, some amazing things happen. more people
That's right.
start sharing their story, wanting to help others. This is the mission we have as the human population, I think, is to reach out our hands and help people. And that's just what we
Exactly.
do. It's just who we are,
Exactly.
who we're built. I was born to help people. You were born to help people. We've gone through struggles, right? We've gone through our ups and
Hmm.
downs like everyone else has. But we don't let that define us.
No.
And we don't let a quote unquote addictions or any mental health issues define us. And we just go upon what we're supposed to be doing and getting the help that we need and reaching out and not, I guess I'm going to say, not giving up, I guess is really
Well,
what I should say.
yeah, and not like when you said not defining him, it triggered me into thinking, wait a second. If I allow my depression or my anxiety or my chemical dependency to define who I am, then I've lost part of that battle. Even though my chemical dependency is giving me a new life because I'm in recovery. Now, I am going to say I do let that define me because recovery has so many gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But if I let the disease define me, then I am no longer growing. I'm engrossed. I'm encapsulated. It has, like
Right.
frozen shoulder, it's froze me in that moment in time, and I can't get out of it.
Well, and when we talk about the physical symptoms of our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions, it's very, very clear in my practice that people are holding on literally to a lot
Hmm.
of old, I'm going to say junk, and it
Yep.
manifests physically in the body. And in my practice, we walk you through some of those things, and I have so many resources that we can guide people to. Well, Dawn, dawnfinn.com, www.dawnfinn.com. Connect with Dawn. She has a Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter account at fabulous, fabulous Dawn Finn. Make sure there's a dot in between there. And I'm sure you have a phone number available on your website for people to
I
connect
do.
with you, an email address for people to connect with you. And like you said, if you are looking for, or I said, if you're looking for someone to connect with that maybe you are just needing some questions answered, or maybe if Dawn's a great fit for you, is that correct, Dawn? You offer a 30-minute consultation
I do. I
for
do.
no charge?
Yep.
What's really beautiful now about technology, think about just 30, 40 years ago, we weren't able to do this. We weren't
Mm-mm.
able to come up on a screen and share this so broadly with people. And I think that's what's great about technology. Do you also, I mean, obviously you can coach one-on-one, but do you do a lot of coaching through the computer like this or through the internet
I
like
do.
this?
I do.
Okay,
Actually, a good chunk of the people that I have served are from Iowa, New York, and North
good.
Carolina, a couple from Arkansas. So
Isn't
really
that amazing?
using, I know, I know.
See, and that's the
Uh,
thing. I mean, you're Pelican Rapids, only 45 minutes away. I'm in Moorhead right now, of course. But see, that's the beautiful thing. When I've worked with coaches before out of Phoenix or out of an integrity management, I think they were based out of Nebraska at the time with chiropractic coaching, phone
hmm.
calls,
Hmm.
phone calls, phone calls, and phone calls, and Skypes. That's what we did all the time, every week on, and webinars. There's just
Oh,
so
yes.
many amazing things that we can do with technology now. So it's almost as if people are really needing someone, you can go find their content, go check them out. Like
Yes.
you said, go check out their websites, go check out Dawn's website, see if she'd be a good fit for you, or maybe a
Hmm.
friend. Maybe you're helping out another person in your life that they just need someone. And at times, eventually, they're going to find a coach, a mentor, a
That's right.
chiropractor, a holistic healer of some kind
Hmm.
along their journey. Do you have any I just wanted to ask if you have any upcoming events or announcements or workshops or anything that you're going to be involved with anytime. If you don't, that's fine. I just thought I'd give you some space to add that.
Actually, yep, I don't. I'm working on a project in Pelican Rapids right now. And
Okay.
so there's a couple of things going on, but I'm with the achievement integration with the school. And so we're working on equity and what does that mean for people? And what does that mean for people of color, people of gender, and different things like that. So that project is really fun, and it's challenging some of my own stereotypes. Let me just be honest. It's the stereotypes that I've had, and I've had to really
Mm-hmm.
work through them, and I'm really enjoying that. But what I do have is I have a couple of spots for really intense coaching, which is in my business. What I do is 1 month, a couple times a week, face to face, may it be on the internet, may it be at my office or, something like that. But so there's twice a week we're visiting, we're doing emails, we're doing texting, whatever it is that you're working through. We have 30 days to get you from point A to point B. And then I have 2 more spots I only take so many clients. So then that way I can always make sure I'm giving them the best thing that they need, the best attention. If I take on too much, then it's like that philosophy. If I'm trying to be all things to all people, then I'm mediocre. But if I focus on what I'm really good, then I'm really good at what I do if I keep that.
And that's
so
and that's kind of just saying too about, like, for me in my practice as well, having that those types of people you want to serve are the ones that light your fire. I mean, we want to serve as many people as we can, and in my practice, as divinely as possible. But kind of like you said, you have this certain group of people that you are just meant to serve, right? And those are the people that just get you, light you up, they light you up, and you get work done, you get results. And that's what it is also for me as well, is lighting up the people that come in, light me up like a Christmas tree, if you will. And that's really important to know, as both, from one business owner to another business owner. And if any of you are looking at becoming a business owner or a coach of any kind, find out who you want to work with and start there. Families and athletes.
Hey, Lori.
Hi, Lori. All right, www.dawnfinn.com. She's wonderful, magnetic energy. I consider you also a friend of mine and a very mission, purpose-driven visionary. You have a blessed day. And we are going to end this beautiful connection, creates transformation talk today. Again, www.dawnfinn.com. Connect with Dawn, and we will connect again and do this again over some other topics. Sound good?
Sounds good. Peace out, my friends.
Peace. Bye. I spit a little bit there.